All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another Lure Lab episode here, a part of the Serious Angler Network. This is episode 97, so 3 away from number 100. Kind of crazy that we're already getting to the number 100 mark. We're moving into the fall of the year. September can tend to be one of the trickier months of the year because there's all kinds of transitions that are happening. And we're going to talk about a technique today that is great during transitional periods. And we have our local own Kyle Patrick coming on to talk all about drop shot fishing. And I'm pretty sure it's one of the techniques that not only helped him qualify for the elites, but have put quite a few quality fish in the live well for him during his rookie season on the Elite Series. So let's get the man on here himself. He's been busy lately with podcasts and all over the place. And if you listen to Serious Angler on Tuesday Night Live, you would know that he was also there with us. So let's bring him on. What's up, man? Welcome and making New York proud, huh?
Yeah, thanks, dude. Thanks for having me on, first of all. And it's been a surreal year, without a doubt. It's pretty special to be able to, now officially like fish for a living and, learn all the ins and outs of the industry and all that. So it's awesome.
So I have one quick question for you. When you show up to the local derbies, how mad are the guys how mad are they when you show up, or two, are they pumped that you're there and then they get pissed and take their money?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've definitely, I think I've fished. Yeah, I've won some money this year locally already, which is cool.
You've won what, 3 derbies, I think, that I've seen?
Yeah. I think I fished 3, won 3. And no, but dude, honestly, a lot of the guys are great. Like 99% of the guys, I think, are happy to, like, at the most recent one on Cuca, I won a pretty good chunk of money. They had their big tournament there, and all the guys were happy. They were chatting me up. I actually had one guy had my shirt on. He asked me to sign it. Like, it's been just a good. It's awesome. Been a really good. Yeah, pictures. Like, everyone's been. It's weird for me, right? Because I was always the guy that's just the guy that catches them sometimes, and energetic kid, like, and now it's a very different atmosphere, but everyone has been great pretty much, and just enjoys hanging out.
I remember
it's fun, dude.
I remember when you first started showing up on the tournament scene, right? And you had your own tournament series that was eventually taken over by Douglas. That looks like it might be kind of done now, and Doc's taking over. But I remember fishing an event that you held at Cayuga, and it was my first time I ever fished that lake, and fished with my buddy Jeff, and we dropped 20 pounds. I was like, oh, it's a great bag. First time ever here. And then I think Casey Smith had like 24, and Eric Sullivan and Tom Russell had like 29 pounds of smallmouth. And I'm just like, this is ridiculous.
Now look, 24 is like 5th there.
Yeah. Just ridiculous. But that lake is unreal. And but no, I wanted to say congrats on everything. We've had you on the show. It's awesome to see the growth that you have shown throughout the years here, the last couple ones. And local guy, we watch you pretty closely. But drop shot fishing, right? It's a staple. Everyone knows about it. Everyone tries to do it. Not everyone is good at it. So I want to know your drop shot setup. We're going to dive all into this, but since everyone knows what a drop shot is, I want you to go on a personal story real fast and describe like a memorable catch that you had on the elites or during the opens using a drop shot, and maybe what the bait was.
Yeah. So, the most memorable this year actually was my worst finish of the year, but I had salvaged the day with a drop shot, power shot, actually still considered a drop shot. It was on Wheeler Lake. I kind of scrapped what I had, wasn't catching them, didn't have a fish in the live well, went over, fished some stumps in like 10 feet of water, and caught 5 keepers really quick. And it sort of saved my year. It saved my AOY average, the whole 9. I caught like 5 for 9 pounds, nothing, right? But it gained me 30 points. And that is where, the drop shot can win you tournaments, no doubt, but it can also it can do damage control, as Polinek always talks to me about. Like, it can do damage control, and that's the biggest thing. And when you're tournament fishing is you're not going to be on them all the time. But what you do need to be able to do is salvage bad days all the time in order to be, stay at the top of your game and the top of the leaderboard as far as AOY goes. So so that was my most memorable catch. Wheeler Lake, and it was on a magic worm, which is by Missile Baits. They make a phenomenal. They partnered with Robo Worm, so hand poured. I think that's really important, and they, their colors are really good. They have a really great selection of colors for water, for different stains, and it's just a really versatile bait, but I throw it a lot of times on a drop shot, power shot or drop shot.
It's kind of crazy to think about a drop shot though. Like everyone assumes it with deep water, clear water, and you have like your morning dawn colors, your green pumpkins and watermelons. But little do people realize that you can put it on 20-pound test and a flipping stick and an EWG 100%. And flip grass with it, or you can go ultra finesse with like a 16th ounce weight and skip underneath stand docks and catch fish, or flip it into trees. It's probably one of the most universal techniques that you can use that always gets bit.
Always. And like I have 2 drop shot setups, and I'll just walk you through, as far as my 2 that I always have on the deck, pretty much. And that is your spinning rod drop shot setup, actually I'll talk about 3. I'm going to do my largemouth setup that I have on the deck at every tournament. I don't care where we are in the country, and it is a 745, basically like heavier duty rod from Douglas. And that setup is straight fluoro, so it's straight.
That's spinning or casting?
This is casting, so it's straight fluoro Sunline Sniper, 20 or more depending on what I'm fishing, mostly 20, just because you don't want too stiff a line. So I do 20-pound straight fluoro. I put like a 12-inch leader between the, or a 12-inch leader, 12-inch space between the weight and the hook. You can use a bunch of different hooks. I like the cover shot, the heavy duty one, not the regular one. I need it. You want a thicker gauge hook because you're setting the hook just like you would a jig, right? So, and depends what the water clarity is like, but a lot of the times I'll throw like a PB&J magic worm from Missile Baits, or like sometimes they have like this blue worm. I always blank. I think it's Bruiser Flash. It's a blue worm. People don't think about, when you're drop shotting, to throw a blue colored bait. People like you were saying, they think about morning dawn. Maybe they think about a flatworm. Maybe they think about, clear water colors. But a lot of the time I'm throwing, when I'm fishing, grass or, dirtier water, or like stumps in dirty water, I'll throw that blue or that PB&J. It's just a different look for them. It's not a typical look. And I think, people throw black and blue jigs all the time. Why not throw a black and blue worm? So that's a big deal for me. I tie a Palomar, simple, super simple. I keep everything simple when it comes to my setup. So straight fluoro, 20-pound, Palomar knot, and the cover shot hook, or any hook that has, I try to put an offset in my hooks. So because for hook to land ratio, so instead of having just a regular hook like this, the point goes like this for the line tie. So there's just a little bit of an offset, so you get a better hook to land ratio. So whatever hook works for you. I like Gamakatsu. I like Owner. There's a whole bunch, but that's my heavy duty largemouth setup right there. Love it.
Now, what is your light largemouth setup?
Yeah, so I again 744, not casting, spinning. So the DXS 744 from Douglas, that's the best drop shot rod in my opinion, for more of a little more power technique. So I throw 15-pound braid Sunline. Now this is a big piece that I don't know if everyone does. A lot of people put a lot of leader on their spinning reels. I never have my leader in the reel. It's always never. Yeah.
Like 6 inches above it.
Yep. I don't want any leader ever getting into my spool. That's a big deal. So I do sniper as a leader, 12-pound, especially for largemouth. I don't think you need to go any lighter. And I will throw a magic worm or a small, maybe sometimes I'll throw a smaller, instead of having a thicker worm, like I'll drop size and throw a little bit of a smaller worm, diameter wise. So because I'm using a lighter wire hook, so I want it a little more finessey, and I don't want it as hard. I don't want to have to set the hook as hard to get good penetration, you know?
So you're talking like a Strike King finesse worm or like a robo worm, whatever
Robo
your
worm,
generic drop shot worm is.
Yep, whatever you would use. But the key is, I really have started to throw the VMC Finesse Nico hook. It's got that nice offset at the tip of the point. It's got a nice wire keeper or a fluoro keeper so that your worm sits on it nicely. It's a little bit different. I don't know if a lot of people drop shot with that. Obviously, I'm Texas rigging it. And that's a really, really good hook. Like, not many, I wish I almost didn't say it. Like that's the hook that I top 10 Smith Lake this, past season on the elites. And 15-pound braid to 12-pound fluoro. And again, I talked with you about it prior. I tie I don't do the FG. I tie the Alberto.
I'm all about the Alberto. Why do you choose the Alberto over the FG knot?
I think it's easier, and I'm not ever reeling, like we talked about, I'm not ever reeling my knot into my reel, so I don't need it to be too small. I just need it to be strong. I want my knot to be as strong as possible, and I want it easy to tie on the water.
It's kind of crazy too, because the FG knot was designed right for heavy braid to heavy fluorocarbon or mono leader. Like, it's meant for 150-pound test braid to 100-pound, 200-pound fluorocarbon. And what I found, not only is it a pain in the ass to tie, but you need to put it into your reel, and that's where it's designed, is to slip into your reel. And it's also designed for lower carrier count braids. If you're getting into these high fancy carrier counts, it causes your line to twist more. And it causes all kinds of problems casting going through the guides. I think that's a very overlooked aspect.
I do too. And that's why I never put it in my spool ever. And yeah, you may have to retie once or twice throughout the day, but it's easy. You just have
30 seconds.
Yeah, you have some fluoro right in your rod locker. You pull it out, you tie it up quick, and you're good to go.
Now, when you're tying your Alberto knot, how many loops do you do down and how many do you go back up?
6 and 6, 7 and 7, maybe. It doesn't, like, it's sort of like so ingrained that I just go, and then I'm like, okay, now I'm going to go back, and then I put it through, and I'm good.
Like, I kind of have a general rule of thumb. If I'm at 10 pound, it's 6. If I'm at 8, I do 8. And if I'm at 7, I do 9.
Oh,
like just a little bit longer. So it's probably very similar.
Yeah.
And 12 would be 6 or 5, etc. And as you go
that
up.
makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it works.
Cool. Yeah.
So I just find I get a little bit more strength with big smallmouth out in the lake.
Yeah. You're doing that more than I am. Yeah. You're doing that more than I am. I don't ever drop. I mean, people will probably think I'm crazy here, but I pretty much never throw anything less than 10-pound bass. Ever. Now, I'm not fishing like you are on the Great Lakes all the time. So I don't need to for the most part, unless maybe some spotted bass fisheries or, maybe we go to the St. Lawrence at a weird time where I feel like I have to. But I never drop my pound test below that. Now, I'm making a mistake at some points by not, and I know that, but I just don't do it.
Well, I mean, technically, fluorocarbon's invisible from 2-pound to 20-pound tests. The only thing that's different is how your bait reacts and in current and stuff. It doesn't matter. So, like, I'm at a point where I just use 8 for everything, unless I'm shaking a minnow. Then I'll go down to 6 or 7 to get it to sink faster. But that's about it. Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. 8-pound Berkeley, 100% trilene or Sunline. I can't think of which one I use. It's not FC Sniper. It's a different one. But yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
So
totally.
But we kind of covered that. So smallmouth, like, what's your smallmouth setup?
Yeah, my smallmouth setup
is ultra
pretty basic.
Finesse.
Yeah, it's pretty basic. It's pretty much the same as my Finesse largemouth. The only difference is the hook and the bait that I'm throwing. There's a whole bunch of different smallmouth baits. Every company makes a Finesse worm, flatworm, Megabass has that has dog, you know, like there's all kinds of different finesse baits, and this hook pretty much works for all of them. It's actually an Ichikawa hook. I think
is it the CT5?
Yeah, something like that. And it's that, but I also will throw the Finesse Nico at times. I like the offset if I'm going to thread it. I'm talking about threading.
Oh, got it. I'm not sure what the Ichikawa threading hook is.
I'm
a nose hooker, so
yeah. The reason I don't love nose hooking is I feel like I lose more fish. Now I may get bit more, but I find that I lose fish when I nose hook, and that's personal because I had my Oneida Lake Open in 2022. I
remember.
I literally lost. Not going to say the winning fish, but certainly the top 5 fish, to the point where I got so spun out I went to the bank and caught largemouth. And I finished decent in the tournament, but there was something about it was either how I was setting the hook or the reel, or I don't know what it was, but now I nose hook. That's just I nose hook.
We'll have to have some conversations when we nose hook, because I've pretty much I haven't perfected it, but my land percentage is close to like 99%.
Okay, I need to go out with you on Erie. Then I need help.
It's gonna be crazy when you think of it. You're like, you're dumb, but it works.
I can't wait to see. I really can't. I'm coming down. But yeah, I'm not as good at smallmouth. Like, I'm not going to pretend I'm that great at smallmouth fishing. I'm probably pretty average.
For somebody from New York, you don't do it a ton. I follow you. So
right. Which has helped me, I think, in my career, but also when we go north, I tend to struggle with smallmouth. Not as comfortable with them as you or as Bailey or as any of the guys in New York that fish smallmouth. Right. But I have a lot to learn, and I think, I'm slowly getting there. But yeah, like my setup is pretty much 15 braid, 10 fluoro, sunline, and then I'll vary between Douglas rods. They've got a lot of really good finesse rods, but I just haven't honed in yet exactly the one that I would use. The 744 I have used before for like Oneida Lake grass drop shotting with that finesse. If I'm in grass, I like a little bit stiffer of a spinning rod. But yeah, I would say that I pretty much thread exclusively like a flatworm or some sort of small bait. And that tends to do the trick.
Now, when I use Douglas rods, there was 2 drop shot rods I always use: X Matrix 724 and then the 6102.
So yeah, 724 is a really good one. Yeah, that is a really good one, especially for smallmouth. Yeah. So you use the 724. I gotta write that down.
724, and then the 6102, which is because they had the 6103 and the 6102, I believe, in the 610 rods. The 6102 was just slightly softer through the midsection of the rod, that when I was hitting them straight up and down, I lost less fish with it. Yeah. I didn't like the 03 as much.
Yeah.
I just felt like I was missing something. Like it was almost too stiff of a rod, even though it had great parabolic action, that I was missing bites because of it.
Got it.
Now I went down to the 02, the little bit slightly lighter action rod, I could actually feel them a lot better. So
okay, interesting.
Yeah. So just a couple ideas for you.
Yeah, you learn something every day. I like it. No, but yeah, that's pretty much it. But one thing that people need to realize about drop shotting is it seems simple, but it's like it is simple, but you have to, using
minute details.
Using forward-facing sonar is a big deal, but also the weight is huge. Like there are times where I'll switch weights. Like I'll throw for smallmouth like a 3/16, a quarter, 3/8, all the way up to a half or a 3/4. 3/4, no, but half, yes. But
I'll use a 3/4 from time to time.
Yeah, right. And like current or like super deep, yeah. So largemouth,
just to make them react. Like
right.
Sometimes smallmouth need to react, so you throw something heavy on them, and all of a sudden they're like, "What the hell was that?" I got
bite. Exactly. Similar to like a flipping bite with largemouth. Yeah. But the largemouth, like with that casting setup, you kind of have to stay between lightest 3/8, and you're throwing a 20-pound test. So like 3/8 is good. A quarter can get a little tricky, but I'll also, when I'm catching spawning fish out deep, I'll throw a 3/4 just so I can keep it right in their bed and just shake it like that. And I'll drop the leader length from like 12 to like 6. And that way it stays in that strike zone a lot easier. That's a really deadly combo when you're fishing offshore, like stumps. And when I say offshore, I'm not like really deep, but like, 15, let's say 8 to 15 feet of water. Like if you're throwing at a stump or at like a little rock, or, I mean, you do it with smallmouth too, right? Like if they're on a boulder, you throw a 3/4 ounce weight and you just keep it right there and you shake. Similar concept.
Absolutely. No. So I guess that'd be like, I guess to wrap it up here and let you go, but like, I'm just curious, like if you have any presentation tips, like additional tips when you're presenting the baits overall that can help our listeners and viewers catch a few more bass. Like, I mean, one of the biggest ones I have for me is not shaking your bait on a tight line. And a lot of people, when they drop shot fish, like to like hop and feel it. And I'm like, if you feel it too much, you're doing too much.
100%. 100. That is a huge deal. That, but also letting it fall on a slack line. Yeah. People tend to, and it's especially tricky. And I'm going to just talk largemouth here. It's especially tricky with a bait caster and a power shot to cast it out and then not have any, like not have your line top, because you need to cast it out. And then kind of what I'll do is I'll cast out, and once it hits the water and you're engaging the reel, I don't engage it right away. I'll actually pull some line out by sweeping my rod away, and I'll always cast past the piece of structure I want to fish. And then I'll kind of pull my line so that I have more slack, and then it can fall completely naturally. So instead of casting out and engaging your reel and letting it fall, it's still going to pull towards you a little bit. So that natural fall is so crucial. And when you're throwing it on a bait cast, you need to kind of let some line out. You can do it with your hand manually, or you can kind of sweep your rod so that your line comes off your bait caster. But that natural fall is, I would say, second as important as what you were saying, which is shaking it on a slack line. And
it's crazy too how many fish will actually hit it. If you drop it on a slack line, how many fish eat it on the fall?
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
So awesome. That's the best case scenario.
It's falling, you close your bail or click over or engage the bait casting reel, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I got a fish.
Yeah.
so stupid. No, really but I appreciate it, Kyle. If there's anything else that you think our listeners should know, now's the time. But other than that, I'm gonna let you run, and we'll chat soon. And I know you got to get out to the Mississippi, so good luck out there.
Thanks, man. It's always awesome to get on the Lure Lab. I listen to it. Tons of great information about all the new techniques that we're using and the old school ones like we talked about today. So thanks for doing this, guys. It's awesome.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And safe travels, man. We'll chat soon.
All right. Talk to you later.
Right, see ya.
Bye.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Lure Lab. We appreciate Kyle taking the time. This off season is incredibly busy. I think we had to reschedule this like 3 or 4 times, and we were able to slide him in here today. So thank you again, Kyle. Good luck next year in your sophomore season on the Elite Series. Hope you can get another blue trophy. It's awesome watching you make New York proud here. But as always, everything we talked about that is on Omnia will be listed down below in the description. When you go to checkout, type in Serious 10. That'll save you 10%. And don't be afraid to check out Premium Pro. You get money back on every one of your purchases. So as you spend money, you get money back to buy more tackle. How awesome is that? So if you're listening on YouTube and you're new here, hit that subscribe button for more content every week, more episodes, talking all the coolest trends, old trends, new baits, old baits here on the Lure Lab. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, please leave a review if it allows you to do so. It allows the Lure Lab to be seen by more people who love talking shop and tackle. And we're going to close it out there, guys. Stay tuned for next week's episode, number 98, and we will see you then.